Wow. Can you tell me a little bit about your role here at the Centre d'Histoire de Montréal and the latest exposition on called Quartier disparus?
Since 10 years, we started to consider ourselves like a service of the city of Montreal, and so we are going more and more inside the boroughs of Montreal to help people to make themselves exhibitions, activities around heritage and history of Montreal. But we have that museum, which is the center of that net, and so the last exhibition is called Vanished Districts, and it's about 3 districts of Montreal which were almost completely demolished during the 50s, 60s, and because at that time, modernity was going everywhere in North America and a big part of the world. And it was a time of change, quiet revolution in Quebec, so people wanted to renovate everything. And they had, like many cities of the 19th century, big problems with slums. So some parts of the districts which were not in good shape. But the problem was they decided to resolve that problem, but in one way, not to renovate like we would do today, but to demolish big parts of those districts to make new projects. And so we are talking about the history of those districts or the day it happened, or what it was before, and we are talking of the daily life of those districts.
Can you tell me a little bit about those districts? I mean, their names and the importance in the cultural history of Montreal.
Those districts, we discovered them with a very fantastic photographic collection of the city of Montreal, and because when they decided to demolish those districts, they registered every house which was to be demolished. So it gives a fantastic way to know the daily life and even the people who were living at that time in those districts. So those districts were what was called Faubourg Amlas, Malas district, because it was close to the harbor. It was a worker, French-Canadian Catholic worker district, and with all the popular life, people, a part of them were very poor, but others were, ordinary workers working mainly on the harbor area. There was also the red light district, everywhere in the world. Red light means pleasure, every kind of pleasure, prostitutions, and other things like that. And that showed that the city of Montreal wanted to, make those districts more clean, every kind of cleanliness. And so it was a part of this district which was demolished to give place to low-rent housing project. The last district was Goose Village, a more Irish and Italian immigrant district, and very old one, not good conditions, but people were feeling so close together. It was a real community, so they were calling themselves villager, It was a village for them. So when the city decided to demolish it, they lost their community. And it's the problem with all those districts. People are regretting not only their houses, because there are memories, family memories, childhood memories, but they are regretting also the community life which was in those districts. People very close together because they were poor, solidarity, so they lost a lot with those demolitions.
Right, now this exhibit is very visual. How was it? What kind of a process was it to find these visuals, these photographs and video to put together into an exhibit?
It took maybe 2 years because yes, there were those pictures, but we wanted to know what was around and behind those pictures, and so we started to connect to some people, to know people having been residents of those districts, and we started with what we called memory clinic. We are going in a place with our equipment and cameras and people and things, and we are saying to people, okay, come to see us, and we will collect your memories, so maybe 20-minute interviews. And there was a vox pop going through the people assembly, and so we collected many contacts at that time with people having lived in this district for their life or for their childhood. We are mixing memories. It's very immersive because people are entering in the exhibition, entering in the era. Entering in, like, the first room is a room where you are feeling like if you were entering in a demolished house, and people are telling you their stories the day it happened.
Now these stories, like you mentioned, they are joyful as they reflect back onto the community. I mean, how were these communities really a part of their lives?
It's true that, you know, when you are having memories about anything, it's sometimes not absolutely the reality, because reality is complex. And most of the people having memories were young people at that time, you know, adolescents or childs. Some of them were older. So it means that they lived their childhood there. And when you are a child, you're not preoccupied by other problems. We know that there were problems, you know, poverty is a real problem. And so people had hard times sometimes, workers, unemployed people. So the life was hard. There was violence sometimes in some parts of the Faubourg Amlas also. So it was not paradise, that's sure. But what the exhibition is telling, that is culture, daily life, community is a part of the heritage, is the part of the houses and the district. So when you decide to renovate, demolish, or do everything inside the district or for a house, you have to think about that part which is untangible but deeply rooted in the people. And some people were telling us that they felt like having lost someone. It was so they had the same process that if they would have lost their family or their father, it took time because that memory became more peaceful.
Right, and here at the Centre d'Histoire de Montréal, you're trying to relive that memory and have people talk and discuss these communities that once existed?
Yes, the end of the exhibition is a question to the people visiting it. It's you, like citizen of Montreal or a tourist, what are you dreaming for your city? Because now, the city of Montreal learned from that experience. It was a good and bad experience. And so there are many ways today to express your opinions about the project, public projects, private projects in the city. So we say you have to do yourself, your job, of citizen. And we ask to people, what do you think about the future of Montreal, about your district? So people are invited to write or to express on Facebook or everywhere what they are dreaming for their cities. Because if we don't want this history happen again, or like in those big projects, but also piece by piece, because some districts are disappearing piece by piece. So people have to be very clever and to say to the city of Montreal, oops, we think it's not a good idea. We have to discuss it. Maybe the solution is not to keep everything, but not also to demolish everything, that's sure. And so we say to the people, you are a citizen, actually, and you have a big role. And that's Centre d'Histoire, not only talking about, past, so funny to know about everything. It's also telling to the people, we are a part of the city. Your past is telling something to you today. And what are you able to do with that new knowledge you have about the district, about heritage? And so that's sure that people are going out from the exhibition with full of emotion. That's sure. It's very emotive experience. But after, we hope that they will rethink about that experience. They will check on the internet or somewhere and listen more or read more in the newspaper when we are talking about projects. Maybe I have something to do with that.